okay, if I need to create a boundary, working with you, I was like, I have to have choices, I have to have freedom, and I have to have options. Welcome to Carry On, the show where we explore reinvention, self-discovery, and empowerment before, during, and after midlife. I'm your host, Carrie Murray. It's time to keep our head above the chaos and carry on. Carry On Podcast is a space for honest conversations, personal stories, and powerful perspectives. While we may discuss health, wellness, finances, relationships, and social issues, the content shared is for informational and storytelling purposes only and should not be considered professional, medical, legal, financial, or therapeutic advice. Some episodes may contain sensitive topics or adult language. Listener discretion is advised. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or affiliated organizations. We encourage listeners to seek out qualified professionals for guidance tailored to their individual needs. We're tackling a topic that's often easier said than done, saying no. When we find ourselves saying yes to everyone and everything, often at the expense of our own time, energy, and well-being, we might actually be saying no to ourselves. What if the key to more fulfilling life was learning to say no and to set strong, healthy boundaries that honor our needs? What a concept. I got a story for you about a time I really struggled with saying no. So difficult, in fact, I decided it was a good idea to face my greatest fear to get out of any kind of confrontation or setting a boundary. Here's how it goes. You're not going to believe this. So 24-year-old Carrie was in a toxic relationship with a roommate, and I had a boyfriend that I'd been with for 2 years, and I didn't really need to be in this relationship anymore. So I decided, in order to get out of the relationship with my boyfriend and the relationship with my toxic roommate, I was going to get a job on a cruise ship. Now, if anybody who knows me knows that I absolutely am terrified of cruises, boats in general, anything like that. But in my mind, I was like, perfect. So I applied for a job at the California Science Center, and what they have is these huge cruise lines, and in the kids club, they hire teachers, and I was in graduate school at the time, to come and be in charge of the kids club. So I went in for the application, they signed me up for an interview, and they're like, tell us what you'll do. And I was like, oh, well, I have teaching experience. I love being on cruises. I love being around kids. They're like, well, tell us an activity you would do. And I was like, oh, we could go look out the stars and lay out. And they're like, well, the boat's moving, so you can't really like look at the stars for a long period of time. And I was like, right, the boat's moving. And so I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll do all kinds of fun things. So I literally was like, okay, so I'm gonna have to face my biggest fear. I'm gonna have to get this job on a cruise line, and then they'll just disappear. And the job was for 9 months. So I was gonna be on this cruise for 9 months, and they would just magically fly away. Alas, I did not get the job. Although it was also the first time I've had an interview where I didn't get the job. Every interview I've ever done, I've always gotten hired. So that was a little humbling. But it did force me to have to pull up the courage inside and say, no, I have to put myself first and say yes to living the life I was supposed to lead. Now, thank goodness I did, because as a result of that breakup, I became a teacher. I went to graduate school. I met some of the best friends I have today. I met the husband. I met the father of my children. And that was like the best yes I could have given myself. That being said, I'm here with someone who is probably giggling at me right now. And I'm embarrassed to tell the story, but I tell the story as anyone who's out there watching this, listening to this, believe me, it's okay to disappoint other people, and just stand up for yourself. My next guest, Tracy O'Malley, is a force to be reckoned with. She is recognized globally as an Enneagram expert, leadership authority, trusted by C-level executives worldwide for her transformative insights as a business biohacker. She uniquely combines Enneagram wisdom, intuitive gifting, and cutting-edge leadership strategies to unlock peak performances in individuals and teams. She'll look at you, maybe say 5 words, and already know your secret fear. She's like a walking lie detector with eyelashes. She's been through hell and back, addiction, trauma, and comes out with more heart, more fire, more integrity than anyone I've ever met. She's that rare mix of well-cut, no bullshit samurai with the love that comes from her heart. Tracy doesn't just help people lead or grow, she sees them
Let's talk about why boundaries are crucial, how to set them without guilt, and how to master the art of saying no and still opening up your heart to say yes. Grab a pen and paper. You're going to want to take notes because the knowledge she's going to drop today is going to blow your mind. Welcome, Tracy.
So good to see you.
You too. As you saw, 24-year-old Carrie couldn't say no. Why do we struggle, even as in our 40s, 30s, 20s? Why do we struggle with saying no?
50s. I mean, it's still really hard. You know, it rocks our need for certainty, for significance, for a form of control. You know, plus, you know, we had the receipts growing up that this is the way we do it. And that was taught, told, and modeled for us. So it's like this whole clusterfuck in our head of like, I want to say this, but I need to say this. I want to say this, but I need to say this. And it's like this tug of war with ourselves constantly. And I think the older we get, the more that reckoning, we're like, this shit stops now. But it still comes with collateral damage and some wreckage and some disruption, which none of us really love. And usually we'll do something drastic like what you did is like, let me do something that gets me so far away from this, even though it's so radically uncomfortable. Like if that's so telling, like I'd rather get on a cruise ship, which is so scary to me, than have a hard conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, I've had some of those moments in my life too, but when we kind of start to build a healthier relationship with the discomfort and the disruption, boundaries become a lot easier. And not only that, like we help other people when we hold boundaries.
We model it.
Well, we enable people when we don't. And if we're really somebody, whether it's our children, our partners, our friends, our peers, people that, you know, hire us, whatever that looks like, you know, boundaries are a growth opportunity. It doesn't mean they're fun when we're in it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So I know you work with executives, entrepreneurs, coaches, I mean, a wide gamut, men and women. Do you see the lack of confidence in setting a boundary more in women or do you see it across the board?
It's human. It's like the human scale. I think it's how it gets expressed now that can vary absolutely, you know, depending on whoever's in front of me. But I think this is a human universal kind of thing, you know, that comes to the table all the time. And it doesn't like discriminate age, gender, race. This is a wide range kind of thing that most of us have to face at some point.
Love that. So what your special sauce is, what your really true gift that you have is the interpretation and the application of the Enneagram. So for anyone watching, listening that doesn't even know what I even just said, give us a quick, you know, definition of what it is, how you have really created this mastery on getting to know people with your intuition and using the Enneagram as like a tool, but also a guide. I'm a 7, by the way.
Yeah, she's a big shocker there with this beautiful like backdrop, and I'm an 8, so there's the spice. I don't like, for those of you that know the Enneagram, how I'm going to explain it is not at all what you've ever heard. And for those of you that have never heard of it, if you want to know the actual like details of it, just GTS, Google that shit.
Yeah.
I like
GTS.
to explain it the way that I teach it, and that is it's an atlas to your soul. Honestly, you know, I think we all have a home base, whether it's our physical home or our, you know, our body home, right? And we venture out into the world. And sometimes we take different paths to get there. And the Enneagram always guides us back home to who we are and who we were before life kind of kicked us in the teeth a little bit. And some of these coping mechanisms, like the people pleasing, I can't say no, I have no boundaries. The Enneagram is this roadmap for our soul. And also, like you as a 7, me as an 8, sometimes that's not always the right tool for the job. And when we do venture out into the world, the Enneagram provides these other components to our framework that allow us to pull these levers to be the highest version of ourselves, the most effective version of ourselves, and to be able to operate in what's the greatest good for us all involved. That's how I love to explain. It's an atlas for your soul.
I love it. I love it. And how would you describe how you use the Enneagram in your coaching with your clients and with your executives and your teams?
Oh, yeah.
How do you use that kind of like that motivation that they get from that. Because I know when I understood what motivates a 7, it completely changed how I approached work, parenting, even boundaries, all of that. I knew that, okay, if I need to create a boundary working with you, I was like, okay, but I also need to have, I have to have choices, I have to have freedom, and I have to have options. And when someone tries to create a boundary with me and they're just like, it's this way,
You're like
I'm
caged in.
immediately like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. But how do you recognize the Enneagram as like this strong, fierce thing that we have to dig deep in to apply to be able to say that no? And is it hard? Second question is it harder for some Enneagrams to say no boundaries than others? Or do you think it's...
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some that tend to have a harder time with it, but we all do. I mean, I'm a spicy 8 and I still struggle with that, but it looks really different. It may not look like I struggle with the no because it comes out a little bit differently. But it's, like I said, this is pretty universal. How I use it and why it's so effective, the way that I help integrate it, is if you think about it, with the Enneagram, there's these 9 very distinct ways in which we perceive, understand, and communicate with the world. Like, that streamlines it in of itself. Like, we have gazillions of people in the world, but if we know, like, there's these kind of 9 different categories in which we see and operate and perceive the world, that helps us like get to the root of things even faster. And then when you know that there's a very root core motive and a very distinct core fear for each of those 9, like when you can get to the root of the issue, like you can solve it a lot faster. But I think so often, you know, we're operating like we're spraying weed killer on everything out in the world. And if you've ever sprayed weed killer, like it may temporarily kill the weeds, but it's kind of still there on the surface. And if a good rain comes, like the weeds come back stronger and faster.
Sure.
But if you actually go to your garden and lift it up by the root, it's not going to come back as strong. And that's what the Enneagram can do. It like gets you by the root. When you know what's at the root of everything that you do and everything that you fear, this gets a lot easier. When I don't want to say no, I can kind of track back with the framework and the atlas of the Enneagram to know what is this really about? And I can compassionately, with a big mirror in front of me, be radically honest with myself and with other people so that we can navigate these rough waters, if you will.
Entrepreneurs, listen up. Are you stuck trying to DIY your website and marketing only to end up frustrated and spinning your wheels? I've been there. Stacy Beeman of Bee Woman Marketing gets it. She helps passionate business owners like you ditch the overwhelm and get back to your zone of genius, because that's where you should be, honestly. From strategic websites and automated marketing systems to branding, logo design, messaging, social media management, and strategy, she handles it all. Stacy has supported coaches, consultants, nonprofits, authors, educators, fitness brands, and more, helping them show up confidently and professionally online. So stop Googling how to embed a form or set up an email funnel and start growing your business. Visit bewomanmarketing.com. Mention Carrie On when you get in touch for 10% off a strategy session with Stacy. How would you say the Enneagram helps people that, okay, beyond boundaries, but relationships with people, you know? And do you see, you know, like if you look around, like before you met me and you saw me in a group setting, were you like, that's a 7?
Me, yes.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing for those of you that drink this Kool-Aid now, because you're gonna be like, this is fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to understand myself, I want to understand people, and because it's like a fast pass, like a Disneyland, like who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to stand in line and figure this shit out the hard way. But because I'm always watching behaviors, yes, but the great thing about the Enneagram is the why behind the behaviors. So yes, I can look at you and see the fun, free spiritedness, and yes, that appears very 7, but I'm always looking for what's the why behind that, even in just body language, and you know, if I want to take you way back to kind of how this happened for me.
Please.
Like, I came into the Enneagram kicking and screaming. I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. And I was introduced to it 13 years ago by my therapist in rehab for all those coping mechanisms that I was not so great with. And she wanted me to do this. And I basically told her to go fuck herself. Like, I don't need a label. I don't need any of this cutesy little personality thing. And I have serious things I'm here to work on. And she's like, my dear, this might actually help you get out of the box that not only you've put yourself in, but the world has also put you in. And how about you open up your mind? I was like, okay, Nancy, you're right. But what happened was very cathartic, honestly, because since I was a little girl, since the age of 4, growing up in an alcoholic, volatile, never know what you're going to get kind of home with very well-intended, beautiful people who, were awesome in a lot of ways, but really shitty in other ways. And as a little girl, as the oldest daughter as well, like, I was always kind of reading the situation. And so I've got a strong intuition. I'm a strong energy reader in of itself. And I was always trying to make sense of understanding why this was happening. And as a little girl, I used to lay on the floor and read the actual atlas.
Oh, wow.
Our generation, this is before GPS was on our phone or Yahoo Maps. Like, I was fascinated with atlases. And I used to get made fun of for it. My dad would be like, Tracy, why are you reading Iowa? And, full circle moment, I know I was being prepped for what was to come. And I was always fascinated, like, how do we get from here to there? And more importantly at the time, how the fuck do I get out of here?
Right.
And making sense of all the roadmaps. And, when I would be in front of people, whether it was my dad or my crazy, beautiful, insane, passionate Irish family, with all those different dynamics, I was trying to understand everybody in front of me at all times, but I didn't have a language for it. I just had a knowing and a spidey sense that was unmatched. And so when the Enneagram got dropped to me, even though I was like a hard no at first, the minute I surrendered to it and it was put in front of me, like, it was very clear, like, this is the language that it was there, but this gave me the language to what I already knew about people. And that's why I was so masterful with it so quickly and without assessments, and for 5 years nobody knowing I was even using it, as like, now I have this atlas that I can actually see where this person is behaving. Now let me get more curious and see what's underneath that and kind of drop them into this framework in my mind and in my energy. And I was spot on every fucking time. And I could see it because I could effectively lead them, whether it was my children, people that I was leading out in the world. And I became so obsessed with understanding the framework and not just dropping somebody into the 7 category like you. Like, I could see that right away, but also so beautiful to watch you, even without you knowing I was watching you. I'll never forget when you stood up at Rebecca's event, not even knowing why you were there.
Yeah.
Like, you were sitting right here, and I was like, and I started to, like, I have goosebumps just even thinking about it. Cause yes, like, for a 7 to want freedom and options and choices, I started to see the other components that are attached to your 7 as come into play. And that makes my heart so happy, because you're more than just your type. I'm more than just my type.
Right.
It's how we leverage the tools that are connected to us that allow us to step into this optimal version of ourselves. And I watched you right before my eyes do it in that moment. And then, obviously the next 6-7 months that I've gotten to know you even better and be with your communities and your friends and all of that, like, that's what makes me excited about the Enneagram, is not just putting you in a box and saying, this is just the way I am, a 7, I need freedom, choices, and options. And also, like, I'm a visionary. I'm powerful. I have healthy boundaries because they will give me more freedom, options, and choices, and light the path for other people. So that's how I came into it. Again, not wanting anything to do with it.
I love it.
But also knowing that this was the map that I've been searching for since I was a little girl, with language that now, not only for myself I could, use and within my family, but now globally, all across the world.
That's incredible. So you see the behaviors of the people around you and you can track what's motivating that behavior.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like the 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon game, well, the truth of our souls, there's about 6 layers deep. Like, when I see people, do speed networking, like I cringe. It's like, you guys, you got to get like 6 layers deep before you really understand anything about a person. Because we've got the masks, we've got the protection, we've got the armor, we've got the condition, we've got the traumas. So asking somebody, what motivates you, Carrie? You would never say freedom, choices, and options.
No.
As a first, but it's like we get a little bit deeper. And so I got really curious really quickly, and I could beeline with my questions, and within 2 minutes, I can understand what's at the motive here. And then I'll say something that like, God, I just met you. It feels like I've known you my whole life. I'm like, cha-ching, I got it. Yeah, I got it. And it makes me so happy because I can be more empowering. I can build your confidence better. I can help you say no more often and have healthier boundaries, and also have so much compassion for why it's hard for you.
Yeah, which is key in all of that.
Yeah.
Are you a leader in public child welfare or with an agency looking to create real change? At RFC 21, they don't just consult, they transform. As passionate advocates for progress, they understand the challenges you face. From skilled guidance on grant management and leadership training and strategy, providing expert witness services for public child welfare cases, they help you transfer the systems that serve communities of color with purpose and intention. Their team of resourceful professionals brings integrity to every project, knowledge to every challenge, and innovation to every solution. It's time to move beyond the status quo to build something better together. Visit rfc21.com today to make change and a progressive movement reshaping public child welfare systems today.
Do you find that people that are comfortable with saying no, and people compared to people who are like a yes person, yes, 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 do you think they're kind of yesing themselves to death, or do you think they can actually set boundaries and feel good about the boundaries?
100%. And I want all my yes people to not be envious of the people that have an easy time saying no, because if you think about the cool things that sit on an executive's desk, they call them a pendulum, the ball thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
People that are really good at saying no are on this end of the pendulum, and the yeses are on this end of the pendulum. Like, our goal is to be in this sweet spot. The people that are hard nosed, they got a whole different kind of armor going on than the yeses. So, we want to find this happy spot in the middle.
How can a yes person start to create boundaries and feel confident about it, or begin to like pull it out of them and not, because I know for me, why I say yes more times than not is because I don't want to upset them.
Yeah.
I don't want to let someone down, even if it's at the sacrifice of myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll look at my calendar and I'm like, yeah, I'll schedule a call with you. And I'm like, why do I have 10 calls in one day? Why did I say yes to everybody? And I know for me, it's because I have a hard time setting that boundary. So as someone, who wants to please everybody, and I feel fulfilled by doing that, but I know it's not serving me. I have to, people like me, yes, people, and setting boundaries.
So, and there's an element to you that, like, it sounds exciting at the time that you're saying yes. And then you're like, oh shit, why did I say yes?
Yes, I do that all the time.
Yeah, like that's an element too. For me, why I always say, this is why the Enneagram is powerful, because when I say yes, it's like, oh, am I saying yes because I get to flex? For you, it's like, I'm saying yes because this is going to be fun and exciting and all the things that go with it. And so when you understand what's at the root of, your vice, like mine is like to be strong and powerful. And so my yeses usually are an opportunity to flex and show the world, or show the room, or show this person how strong I am. And that's great, but it's also a form of manipulation subconsciously. Like, again, we come by a lot of this innocently. So when you understand what's at the root, so if you're somebody who doesn't want to let somebody down, so I have an Enneagram 2 son, and Enneagram 2s are the considerate helper. They're the yes kings and queens of the Enneagram, to be honest with you, because everything about them is being motivated by being loved and appreciated. And the thing is so often they will feel like they have to have that external validation. So they will yes, yes, yes. But inside they're growing resentful that like, I'm saying yes to all these things. If this didn't happen, if I didn't do this, nobody would. And inside they're going, nobody does this for me. Nobody does this for me. And then we start to express and try to enforce boundaries when we're at a place of resentment or for you, like burnout.
Exhaustion. I was just going to say exhaustion.
Yeah. Or for me, like rebellion and like, fuck this, right? Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, we can lay down a boundary, but it's not necessarily going to be as effective, have as much credibility as we want it to. So when we understand what's at the root of our yeses that are dysfunctional, this is like the pause button. And usually, especially for those of you that are first to say, I'll look at my calendar, and if there's nothing there, I'm saying yes. Like, let's freaking pause. I remember when I told my son this, I'm like, ask yourself, if this wasn't thanked, appreciated, acknowledged, or reciprocated, would you still be a hell yes?
Good questions to
And
ask.
he's like, ooh, yeah, I know a lot of you are like, oh shit. You know, because whether you think you are or not, again, you come by this innocently, it's a form of manipulation. You're giving to get. And what you're setting yourself up for resentment. You know, anytime we have that kind of expectation, whether we're aware of it or not, but just that pause will allow you to kind of reevaluate this. Now, if you are the go-to person, when you start to pause, you might get some kickback.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to have, like, it's just like any kind of conditioning of our muscles. This is an emotional muscle that we're going to condition. You know, and it takes time and it hurts really bad at first. Like if you've ever done a squat for the first time under a Smith rack, like the first time we do squats, like we can't get up off the toilet the next day. But we're like, yeah, that hurts so good. Yeah. Right? But when we flex these spiritual and emotional muscles and it hurts like hell, we're like, oh, that hurts too much. But like the payoff is way better. But at first it's going to hurt because we have conditioned people that we're the yes person. And so when you say something like, can I get back to you in 24 hours? Like they may be like, why? Especially if they're like, Carrie always says yes.
Yes.
It's like, because I need to make sure this works for me. And if you start to get that kind of pushback and force, then the answer is no. Now, that's going to feel really uncomfortable for my yes people.
Yes.
Like radically uncomfortable.
I'm actually sweating hearing
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Or you're going to hold to it. And then what's going to happen, especially for the takers in your life, is they're going to go find somebody else that will help them. And you're going to get FOMO and you're like, you know what? I changed some things around. I can do that for you.
My God, I've done that so many times.
Right? So that's like, again, like this flag saying, again, meeting yourself with compassion. Like beating yourself over this is going to continue the cycle. But it's like, okay, like there's something deeper here that I feel like my worth is only tied to self-abandonment, self-sacrifice, and making sure the world is okay with me. And what you're doing is blocking the abundant relationships, the abundant friendships, the abundance period in your life the minute that you self-sacrifice and self-abandon. I'm not saying this isn't uncomfortable, because I've said no with the same kind of, framework, and I'm a very thick-skinned person, and still it hurts when they go elsewhere with it.
Yeah. Travel isn't just about the destination. It's about the connections made along the way. Two Peacocks Travel curates immersive, purpose-driven journeys designed for women who crave adventure, cultural exploration, and personal growth. More than just a trip, each experience fosters sisterhood, where like-minded women gather together to support, uplift, and inspire each other through shared moments of discovery. Whether it's navigating the vibrant souks of Morocco or trekking through Peru's Sacred Valley, these journeys create bonds that last long after the suitcases are unpacked. Join the next adventure, find your travel bestie, and build your global sisterhood. Visit twopeacockstravel.com to learn more. I know for me, I like to say yes because I get the
dopamine rush.
I get the dopamine, but I get the, oh, thank you.
You're the best.
You're the best, Carrie. Thank you so much. And I'm like, oh. And then when I have the call, I'm like, I can't do that. So it's, how do I avoid okay, so to wrap it up, let's talk about 3 things you can give advice to anybody at any Enneagram. to like really set that boundary. Like, I know one thing you said was like, take a pause. Like, just because your calendar's open doesn't mean you should say yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like think about it. Like sometimes we don't think far enough ahead and we don't leave room for miracles in our calendar.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know, there have been times I mean, I do operate with a little better structure. I do. Like too much freedom for me is a playground for dysfunction. However, if I am booked to the brim, I'm not leaving room for the miracles. Like when one of my kids comes in and needs a heart to heart, like thank God that room is in the calendar, right? The thing that I asked, like if this wasn't thanked, appreciated, acknowledged, or reciprocated, would I still be a yes? And before you say yes, why is it I really feel like I need to say yes right now?
Yeah.
What is it? And again, meeting yourself with compassion when you realize like, oh, I care what they think about me. Oh, I don't want to be left out. Oh, like there's nothing wrong with that because there was a little boy or girl inside of you at some point that felt like their worth came from that.
Yeah.
And, you know, for those of us that have over-yesed ourselves, I know when something comes along that I want to say yes to, but I'm booked with the yeses that didn't matter so much, it pisses me off so much. Yeah. And I promise you, there is divine timing in all of this. The other thing is the people that you say yes to, you think you might be helping them. And to some degree, you might be, but you also probably are enabling really shitty behavior.
Yeah.
And lazy leadership. And, you know, this is hard as a parent sometimes too, because I do have a lot of the answers. And I could swoop in with my flexing superhero cape a lot of the time. But I stop and I ask myself, why do I want to say yes? Yes, I want my kids to know I'm the most powerful person in the world. That isn't always the healthiest thing. That creates, you know, codependency and lacking confidence. Like just because I can and just because you can doesn't mean you should.
So true.
Right? Leaving room for miracles, seeing if you're doing this from a deeper rooted thing. And, you know, am I helping or am I enabling?
Yeah.
Honestly, if you are being honest with yourself, anything that you grew the most from, you probably learned on the heels of something really hard.
Truly.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was fun. Like I've been through so much shit in my life that yes, some things would have been a hell of a lot easier and a lot less disruptive if that didn't happen. However, I am who I am today, sitting in front of you, doing the work that I do because of all those things. And I would have hated for somebody to kind of intervene there because they were helping me,
Right.
For their own kind of thing that they may not even know is there. Then let me fall on my face a little bit and be there to catch me when I did fall in a way that's like, okay, I'm going to dust you off. You needed to fall on your face, but I'm going to dust you off. So those are like my three things before I will say yes to anything, whether it's my children, people. And now I'm like the no queen. Like, I'm like, I know I want to flex here, so I'm going to say no because I know it would be coming from my own dysfunction, not actually to serve you at your highest level.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Tracy, where were you? 24-year-old Carrie.
You couldn't have received me at 24
no.
years. If I had seen me, if somebody like me, the person I am today, showed up in my life 15 years ago, I'd be like, get that bitch away from me.
Truly.
She does not need to see into my soul. So if you're really ready to be like, yes, I want to grow and I'm okay with the growing pains that come with this, then you're ready for this stuff.
I love it.
And the Carrie today is more than ready for that. And the me I am today is more than ready for that.
So I'm so glad we met, Tracy.
too.
This has like been so amazing.
I freaking
Before we
adore
go, I want you to tell everybody all the places, all the things that we can
Yeah.
find you, because I know a lot of people are going to want to follow up with you after this.
Okay, so I have a podcast called The Enneagram Edge. And what I love, and we got to talk about the edge really quick before we do that. So like how you get the edge up on life, personally, professionally, all the things, edge, and how the Enneagram can help you get this edge up. You know, examining your operating systems. We kind of talked about that. Directing your energy in places. This also helps that. Grounding yourself and grounding your body and like really getting rooted and like, why am I doing this? And then the final E in the edge is enforcing and expressing our healthy boundaries. right? So the Enneagram Edge is my podcast, over 400 episodes. You can go find it on all the platforms. That's amazing. I don't teach the Enneagram Basic at all, so there's that. My website, tracyo'malley.com, has all the information, and it's kind of looks like an atlas and a roadmap, because like this is a journey to our souls, so you can kind of see the timeline on where to go first in that. I'm on the Instagram at Tracy_O'Malley, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things.
Yeah. My final thing for you, Tracy, is one thing I've always said about working with you and just being in the room with you is, yes, you were a child reading an atlas and obsessed with maps and where to go and everything. And for me, working with you was like, I describe it as I've been looking at constellations for years, and you were the one that showed me that they're made up of stars. Look that's the Cancer, that's the Aquarius. Like, you were the one that showed the stars and what they made for me. So for that, I'm forever grateful.
That's one of my favorite compliments.
Oh, I'm
actually.
so glad.
Like that's exactly it. Like, we can see it all, but if we don't know how it all comes together,
Yeah.
like, what's
crazy.
It's just a mess. So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you to my audience for watching today. Please, like, comment, subscribe. Please put in your Enneagram, if you know it, in the comments. I'd love to know who's watching and listening out there. Probably a lot of 2s. And
if you don't know it, come to me. I will get you settled straight.
Exactly. And, as always, keep your head above the chaos and carry on. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Carry On. Be sure to find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And as always, like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And don't forget to keep your head above the chaos and carry on.